Hello, today is May 1st, 2016. We're going to read Luke chapter 18. The verse of the day, according to Luke, the New International Version, is, "And without faith it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those earnestly who seek him." Hebrews. I didn't even read that yesterday, but that's because we had to do 2 videos yesterday. Okay. The parable of the persistent widow. Then Jesus, this is verse 1, then Jesus told his disciples a parable to show them they should always pray and not give up. He said, in a certain town there was a judge who neither feared God nor cared what people thought. And there was a widow in the town who kept coming to him with plea, "Grant me justice against my adversary." For some time he refused, but finally he said to himself, "Even though I don't fear God or care what people think, yet because this widow keeps bothering me, I will see that she gets justice, so that she won't eventually come and attack me." And the Lord said, "Listen to what the unjust judge says. And will not God bring about justice for his chosen ones, who cry out to him daily and night? Will he keep putting them off? I tell you, he will see that they get justice, and quickly. However, when the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on earth?" Oh, wow. For some time he refused, but finally he said to himself, "Even though I don't fear God or care what people think, yet because this widow keeps bothering me, I will see that she gets justice, so that she won't eventually come and attack me." Let's see what the analysis is of that, because it's kind of a little difficult to interpret. So the parable of the persistent widow, a poor, powerless person, persistent, nagging, and corrupt, powerful person, the judge, to do her justice. The parable assumes John the Baptist teaching that the holding a position of power and leadership obligates you to work justly, especially on behalf of the poor and weak. But Jesus focuses on the parable as a different point, that we are to pray always and not to lose heart. He identifies the hearers, us, with the woman, and pray to a person, God, with the corrupt judge, a strange combination. Assuming that Jesus doesn't mean that God is corrupt, the point must be made: if persistence pays off with corrupt human of limited power, how much more will it pay off with God in infinite power? The purpose of the parable is to encourage Christians to persevere in their faith against all odds, but also to applications for those who work in positions of leadership. First, the juxtaposition of the corrupt judge with the just God implies that God's will is at work even in the corrupt world. The judge's job is to do justice, and by God, he will do justice by the time the widow is finished with him. Elsewhere, the Bible teaches that the civil authorities serve by God's authorization, whether they acknowledge it or not. So there is hope, and even in the midst of this systematic injustice, justice may be done. A Christian leader's job to work toward that hope at all times. We cannot right every wrong in the world in our lifetimes, but we must never give up on hope and never stop working for the greater good. In the midst of the imperfect systems, we are where our work occurs. Legislators, for example, seldom have the choice of voting for a good bill versus a bad bill. Usually the best they can do is vote the bills that do more good than bad, but they must continuously look for opportunities to bring bills to a vote that do even less harm and even more good. The second point is that God only can bring about justice in the corrupt world. That is why we must pray and not give up in our work. God can bring miraculous justice in the corrupt world, just as God brings miraculous healing in the sick world. Suddenly the Berlin Wall opens and the apparent regime crumbles. Peace breaks out in the parable of the persistent widow. God does not intervene. The widow's persistence alone leads the judge to act justly, but Jesus indicates that God is the unseen actor. Will not God grant justice for his chosen ones who cry to him day and night? Luke 18, verse 7. Okay, hopefully that was helpful for you, and please be blessed.